Hello, my loves. I thought I would do a little witchy chat video today. Just kind of catch you guys up on what I've been exploring and doing. And I'm going to do a top 5 decks for the month of June, but that will be coming to the channel next week. But I am going to talk a little bit about a deck that I've been using, and I thought kind of finish our time together in this video today, pulling a little card for us. So it's wonderful to be in sacred space with you guys, just chatting and hanging out a little bit. I've been dealing with a lot of headaches and migraines, I think coming from the amount of pollen that we have here, and also like the extreme changes in weather. It's been super hot and humid, and then really, really cold and rainy and damp. And I think my body is just not loving the kind of crazy changes that are happening weather-wise. So it's really caused me to slow down and to have to take things very slowly and be really patient with myself, gentle with myself. And I've really been in hermit mode over the last few weeks. I'm actually profoundly thankful for the slowdown though, because I'm sure you guys know what it's like to, you get caught up in everything and you're going, and sometimes it's just too much and we need to stop and just take a breath and take a break. So it's felt okay to give myself permission to have to go slower and to not be able to keep up the pace that I was moving through really comfortably in April and for most of May, but just needed to stop and to slow down the last few weeks. So that's also given me a lot of space to talk to my gods and to channel some new workshops, which came through in full. The White Stag is already up and available on the Etsy shop. I'll put the link to that in the description box below, but that is a tarot and guided journey workshop focused on connecting in with the White Stag, the Witch's White Stag, the Sacred Masculine, offering healing and integration around working with male deity and incorporating that into our journey as witches, as tarot readers, as people following alternative spiritual paths. And it was a really healing workshop for me to do, like profoundly healing and very gentle. I felt very held in love by the Sacred Masculine in the creation of that workshop. And then very quickly came through a workshop with the Mary L Tarot, which will be up for purchase on the Etsy shop next week. It's a double shot 2-week intensive, so a little bit different price point. And it's not guided journey focused. It's strictly on working with the 10s in the structure of tarot, and particularly in the Mary L Tarot in alignment with the Wheel of Fortune and the 4 Horsemen in the Book of Revelations, which Marie White depicts as her 10s within the Mary L Tarot. It was the most exciting, it was like being slightly stoned and super buzzed putting together that workshop, and it was a joy and a joy ride to create. So I'm super excited about that one. And then I am in the middle of putting my final touches on the Lilith workshop that everyone's been asking about, and that started to come through late last year. That was a longer journey and a really powerful, transformative process working with Lilith. And it's been beautiful in putting the finishing touches on this particular workshop, which will be more of the traditional workshop that I've offered on the channel and through the Etsy shop over the years, and then the more recent workshops. But it's been so such a call to step into my own power that was required by Lilith before I could create the content that goes along with that workshop. But it has felt so delicious to be in that creative space and to put those finishing touches on those workshops. And the Mary L workshop, people have been requesting that I do one for years. And it was always kind of circling around, but thankfully I've had some mentorship students who've been using the Mary L, so it's really forced me to do the necessary research in order to be able to speak to that deck and do her justice to the level of which she deserves. And she really does deserve that level of attention and care. So yeah, it's been such a hermit mode, but also creative time. And I have to say, what a gift. I'm sorry, guys, I'm actually getting warm now. It's really cold. Well, not cold, but it's like not very warm and very humid. Here today, it's been raining on and off. So I was cold and then I just got warm. I will say, it's been very nice to take a break from social media and also like responding to texts immediately. The migraines I was dealing with caused me to have to take a step back from looking at my phone. And so a lot of the workshop channeling ended up getting written instead of typed out, which was really beautiful. But also to take a break from having to respond immediately to messages was very, very freeing for me, and really relaxing for my nervous system. And it allowed me to be more connected to my path without the constant distraction of having to look at my phone or, you know, immediately address concerns or, you know, just be available constantly, even to the people that I love in my life. It's nice to be able to take a breath and take a break and exhale. And my son Vincent is away on an overnight field trip tonight, so I have a little quiet space to myself. And I don't know, the peacefulness and the quietness has just been so deeply appreciated and really enjoyable and really necessary. And I feel calm and connected and less needing of others' approval than I think I've ever felt before. And that's really, really beautiful. So if you're feeling called to go within, I encourage you to give yourself permission to turn the phone off, or, you know, put messages on mute that aren't, you know, that don't need to be immediately addressed within your familial roles or whatever that looks like for you personally, because there is really something magical that happens when we go within. And of course, there's always that time when we need to reemerge, because that can also become a crutch in and of itself. And I'm definitely feeling that reemergence energy and really enjoying that, you know, to feel called to share and connect outside of just the personal insular world. But to give ourselves the gift of that time, I think it's so necessary. In this day and age especially, there's such a fraught energy right now. Wherever we are in our little corners of the world, there's a lot of fear. And it's understandable that that fear is there with what's happening in the world. But it's also okay to take a break and to rest, to let your heart rest, your mind, your body rest. And that's felt really good. And so I wasn't able to do, again, a lot of screen time or a lot of reading due to the headaches I was dealing with, but I have started reading The Witch's Devil, Myth and Lore for Modern Cunning by Roger J. Horn. I'm pretty sure Jasmine Ambrosia recommended this, and either on her channel or on her social media platforms. And I am loving reading this book. Oh my goodness, I mean, I always love Satan, right? And the Mary L. Tarot has just like brought that kind of biblical connection back in for me to reconnect with a lot of memories from my childhood chatting with Satan. But this particular devil, the Witch's Devil, is not focused on a Christian devil, but instead an older energy. And that has been just delicious to reconnect with, very inspiring. And I've felt the whispers of another possible workshop coming through after I finish this book as well in the fall, because it's that inspiring. But I've really, really been enjoying it. Just that call to explore another perspective around deity, and also the power of the witch's path. I think, you know, I think why it's been so important for me to identify as a witch and to follow that for a spiritual path is that feeling of magic that I have with the earth and the old ones. And I've always felt the old ones my whole life. And so to get to read a book where we really just get to dive into the energy of the old ones has been just pure joy for my witch's heart. And I think those of us who do identify as witches, it's hard to describe how potent and powerful the path is for each and every one of us. And that path is unique for each and every one of us, but it's hard to describe it to other people how alive our paths are. And I loved this old way of, you know, yes, it is definitely a folk magic that, at least in the start of this book, that the perspective is based upon. And I don't consider myself a folk witch. I consider myself more of an energetic witch. Some people would call that a strain of vampiric witchcraft. But I consider it an energetic witchcraft that is very much in alignment with the old ones and the old ways. And it's difficult to describe, isn't it, how alive and delicious and real this path is. You know, the old ones that we commune with, and the ways in which we honor those traditions and lineages. It's unique for each and every one of us, and I love that my expression of it is uniquely mine. That's why I love being a solitary witch. It's completely intuitively led based on my relationships with the beings that I walk with and the aliveness that I feel within all things. And that allows it to be organic and to grow and to shift and to be just so deeply fulfilling. So this book has just been like such an affirmation of that, but also really inspiring around this connection with the devil that goes beyond the Christian myth, that's even older than that. And so I really recommend this if you're on the fence about reading it. But it's been super inspiring for me. You know, like I said, I haven't been able to read a whole ton. I'm only about 26 pages in right now, but I'm really excited to read more. And like I said, there's some creative ideas percolating to bring in a tarot component with that for a workshop in the fall. So I'm very excited about that. The other thing that I did purchase to start reading is James Holland's The War in the West, A New History, The Allies Fight Back, 1941-1943. I have an enduring fascination with American history around World War II. And so this is a new author for me that I discovered after watching a documentary, I think on Netflix. And so I'm interested to see his perspective and to focus a little bit more on some of the theaters that I'm not as familiar with within World War II. So this is going to be a very interesting one for me to read, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I do feel like I had a powerful life in the 1940s. So whenever I read books like this, it feels very personal to me, I guess. So that I have been reading as well. And then whenever I don't feel well, I always go back to like my core deck. And as you all know, that is the Tarot of Vampires, which one of you did share in a recent video of mine that TOV is going out of print again. So if you don't have this deck, just for the guidebook alone, I would recommend you get it before the price goes through the roof again to purchase it on eBay. There's truly nothing like this deck, but this deck carries the voices of the old ones, carries the voices of myriad beings that I love and walk with very intimately, and it's an immediate connection. So when I'm not feeling well and I'm not able to work ritual before readings the way that I like to, I have an immediate doorway into TOV, into Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels, in case you're new to the channel. And so this deck has just been, even if all I feel up to is a 1-card draw in the morning, this deck always gives me that meat to carry me through the day, to feel connected, to initiate conversation with the gods that I walk with, the beings that I walk with, and to feel supported, you know, on my own journey, even if I'm physically not feeling well or if I'm energetically or emotionally drained. So, you know, if you're on your path with tarot and you haven't found your home deck yet, please hang in there, because when you find your home deck, there's nothing like it, and you're going to have that same experience I just described with your deck, and it's one that you'll be able to just jump right to. But before I finish the video and pull a card for us, I should say I have been working with malachite a lot, as part of just trying to bring harmony back to my physical body and my energetic and emotional body. A malachite, you know, I'm not a real big crystal witch. I'm more of a stones that you find in nature witch, but I do have a few exceptions to that rule, and malachite is one of them. And I associate malachite with Isis very much. And so when I don't feel well, Isis is like, well, Isis is my mother. So I connect in with her and allow my soul to be fed by her. And malachite is a wonderful stone that I can hold, especially when I'm dealing with headaches. That assists. Malachite and hematite I found to be the best, but malachite really primarily because it's very connected to Isis energy and magic for me. So I should say I have been working with malachite more than my typical ocean stones. So that being said, I think I will pull for us from TOV. And I think I want to do a shuffle. I don't know about you guys, but don't you guys find, like, as the years go by in your tarot practice, there is something so fucking comforting about shuffling your deck? It's like, oh man, if I'm low energy, it's like I just pull out my deck, just shuffle her, feels so much better after. All right, so let's do a little card pull from TOV for us today. Oh my goodness, the Death card. It's interesting because I have been feeling Hades coming through over the last 24 hours or so, especially as I put some finishing touches on the Mary L. Tarot workshop. Hades is a part of that workshop, and so I was feeling him knocking on the door, if you will. You know, and Hades, you know, I would say, oh, what does Hades drink? I mean, Hades would do a nice glass of red wine with you, but I think he's more of like a rye guy. Neat. A rye neat, I feel like, is what Hades would drink if he stopped by for tea. But I digress. The Death card is here for us, and I do feel Hades energy within that. This idea of our own underworlds and perhaps times we experience of chaos or when we feel lost or stuck. The Death card is an affirmation for us that we are in the pause before the exhale. We are releasing something, letting go of something. Yes, the Death card holds, in my opinion as a reader and a priestess, the energy of release and that pause. Yes, the rebirth comes after, but for me the Judgment card is more a card of rebirth. The Death card is the finality of the Scythe, the silence after the Scythe, as Marie White would say. It's the clarity of the release and the letting go. And there's also a powerful magic that comes with endings. and understanding that we've outgrown something or finished a chapter, right? So this death card today, for those of us that this pull resonates with, it's an affirmation that it's acceptable to surrender into the pause, into the silence. And within that space, really be able to hear ourselves in our own voices and what has grown and shifted within us. And in addition, if you feel called to work with Hades at all, this would be an affirmation to connect with him. And if you feel called to work with serpent energy, this card is also an affirmation to connect with that powerful magic of sacred feminine wisdom within the dream time. I hope you are doing well out there in the world. Be looking next week for my top 5 decks for June. And also, I did have a viewer request recently to rate some of my top tarot and oracle guidebooks. And I thought that was such an interesting request. So I have that on the books in the schedule to record next week for the channel as well. But I hope you are doing well out there in the world. I am thinking of you and sending you oceans of love. And I will, of course, as always, see you in the next video.